Hey guys, it's ANicWin, also known as Amy, and happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a lovely day. This is a toy store here in Brindleton Bay. This is like in the dock, wharf, pier area. I'm not really sure what this is. It's like I see pieces of all three of those things. But it's in this area. It's where Catscratch Cottage was when you load up the game. It's got the Lynx household, I believe. It's that young adult single female sim with like 3 or 4 cats. I don't ever play that household just because I don't associate this section of Brindleton Bay with residential lots. It's more of a community lot area. That's just in my head, my perception. It's not like a hard and fast rule. But I kicked them out and I decided to build a toy store, and I don't think I panned so that you can see the opposite side of the street, but I tried to kind of mimic that historic downtown look that the world has kind of across the way. So we've got what is seemingly 2 separate structures that are now one. One was clearly a house, the other one was probably retail space or business space with lodgings above it. And they nowadays are one solid property, and they just happen to be a toy store. Now, I don't give access to the upper level. I didn't feel like it was necessary for the build, but if you download this, you can absolutely add a staircase or something, or even not a shelf, a ladder, to give you access to the upper floors if you want to do like a studio apartment or something like that. And with retail space, you don't need a bathroom, but there are public restrooms somewhere near here. So your Sims aren't going to be miserable if they're shopping or if they're here all day working or something like that. So we kind of briefly did the interior because there's not many different rooms. The floor plan was super easy and the wallpaper was also super easy. The exterior, okay, it comes together quickly, but don't be fooled because it actually took me like a hot minute to figure out what I was going to do. So I began to just kind of place those rugs from Snowy Escape to mimic a snowdrift. They're still relatively flat. There's not a lot of dimension to them, but it gave me an idea of, okay, if we were to have a snowdrift, how would it gather? How do I place objects? Because when you download this, or at least when you see it in the gallery, it's snowing. And I did that intentionally because it's a holiday themed build. So I just needed that visual guide, and I couldn't build it while it was snowing because it was just distracting. So that's just a me thing, but I'm working on the displays now. These are not things that stay all year round in my head. I think the owners probably decorate differently for each holiday. Like, they are committed to their seasonal game, you know? Like, they want to draw you in. So we've got the little snowman. One is sledding. He's in like a planter sled that I made. I do replace this planter with that tree there. I just felt like it looked a little bit more natural. It kind of fit the whole snowing winter wonderland vibe we had going on. And you could see the reindeer that are in front of a larger planter that I placed this bucket here with some flowers in, and then we will have one on the opposite end as well. I believe I placed a Christmas tree. I can't really remember what else. We're gonna find out together. And of course I did use the decals in the window. I'm imagining that's window paint though, and not like a sticker, just so we're on the same page. And I'm just gonna share some good news with you guys because I'm in a good mood. I'm actually really excited. My semester is ending. By the time you watch this, by the time it goes up, my semester will be done. And I only have 1 semester left for my undergrad, and I'm so excited. But at the time of recording this, I have a final project that I've finished and just need to do my voiceover component for. It's in PowerPoint. I haven't used PowerPoint in so long it feels ridiculous, but I have to do that, and I'm going to be doing that Tuesday, tomorrow. So this is Monday night, and I have a final exam that will open Tuesday at 3 p.m. and will be open until Thursday because my classes are online. So I'm going to go ahead and take the exam as soon as it's available, just get it out of the way, and I'll be done. And the excitement, guys, the excitement running through my body is palpable. It sparks all the joy. I cannot wait to be done with all of it. And for those of you who don't know, I am studying it's family and consumer sciences, and my emphasis is on family studies. So people, I'm studying people that cohabitate basically. It's fun. And it's not like the psychological component. Psychological? Yeah. Component of it. It's more so the mundane day to day. How can we be better partners? How can we be better parents? How can we be better members of society? All that kind of thing. I enjoy it. It's not for everybody. Anyway, I also got a haircut and I like it a lot. I have straight, very fine, thick hair. And so I keep it cut relatively short so it's not just like glued to my head. And I went a little too short for the winter and I have regrets. It looks good. Like I'm fine with how it looks, but my neck is going to be so cold for most of the winter time because my hair grows slowly, but it's fine. I can't take it back. It's already happened. But yeah, there's just a lot of exciting things going on this week and I'm here for it. I'm here for all the new. I like a good change every now and then. Anyway, I don't know how we got onto that tangent. Let's get back to the build. As you can see, the other side looks more like a warehouse with a little bit of fishing dock stuff. There's the trash can, or a dumpster rather, and then the other side looks a little bit more residential. I wanted to have some greenery, but not a ton of greenery because I didn't think it was going to look realistic if I just went ham on the landscaping. So I kind of tried to blend it in with the dock area, and I think I succeeded. I'm still not sold on the shrubs and the plants that I can never remember. The hostas. I never remember the name until after the voiceover, but I'm not sold on the shrubs and the hostas. I like them. I'm hoping in the winter they died. I can't remember from the screenshots, but I think they did. It's gonna look really weird if they didn't. And then we head into the interior here. So it is a toy store, but I also build this area, which is a photo with Santa section. I don't know if that's a tradition for all of you. I can remember, which I'm a 90s kid, but I can remember being little, young, and there's a distillery that was down the road from where my parents live. And they had like a little drive-through light thing that you could go through. And then at the end of it, there was this large brick building, which was probably storage. And it had these giant cutouts that had lights and elves. It looked like Santa's toy, like assembly line, like they were packing up his sled and stuff, or not sled, his sleigh and his bag to deliver toys and things like that. And it was interactive and you could walk down it and like move with it and things like that. And then there was an archway that led to Santa and you could sit with him. He'd give you a peppermint candy cane and your parents could take a picture. There was no formal photograph. I don't know if that's a 90s thing or if that was just like, I don't know. I have no idea, but we did it every single year until, you know, a certain age. And that was just kind of reminiscent for me. And I wanted to add that component here. And I really like this. I don't know if it works. At the time of doing this voiceover, I have not had a chance to play test it, but I'm going to. But I think you're going to have poses and Father Winter in your inventory to make this work. I'm gonna have to explore that. And if I have time before the video goes live, I'll leave a comment. And if I don't know. Maybe I'll still leave a comment, but that's what I'm thinking you'll have to do. This was really for the nostalgia and the aesthetic and less for the functionality. But I do think with a combination of some, you know, CC, you'll be able to make it work. So I do add that camera from Moschino and I do add a light just to give it the professional look, you know, as you do. And then we're gonna work here on the cash wrap area next. I briefly thought shelving and I was gonna put the cash wrap or cash register at the opposite side of the store, like in front of the door. And I decided this was the perfect spot. So I'm using these skull displays for collectibles. I initially did place the skulls and decided it was a little too macabre for Christmas. And I went with these little, what are they? The My Sim dolls. That's what they are. And I decided that maybe they're too small to keep on the sales floor or maybe they're too valuable. And so they stay behind the cash wrap. And if you want to purchase one, you know, you'll just walk up there, they'll grab it, wrap it, bag it, and it's yours. But that was my thought process. At least I didn't fill the shelves all the way in. I did leave some holes just to make it look like people had been purchasing the merchandise. At least that was my thought going into it. Maybe it doesn't come off that way. Totally fine. But that was the method to my madness there. And I don't think I used all of the My Sim dolls either. I think I left a few out. I definitely didn't use any duplicates, but I just kind of went up and down the menu, so I don't know if I grabbed them all or not. Then we're going to kind of segue into the waiting area, or what will be the faux waiting area. So I'm going to place that tent that came with Dream Home Decorator. I love it in the gingerbread swatch, and I felt like it was perfect for this moment. And I give a little teddy bear. I imagine this is where the kids can play while they're waiting their turn for their picture with Santa, and there's chairs for the parents. So there's chairs facing the play area for the ones that have littles, and there will be chairs in the opposite corner for the ones that maybe are a little bit older or just kind of want to be out of the way. I also place another Christmas tree, so I think that's 3 Christmas trees on this lot. Is that excessive? Absolutely. Do we care? No, because we don't dampen Christmas spirit here. That's not what we do. But that's pretty much it for that waiting space. I don't place a lot of decorations on the wall. That wallpaper is really busy and it's super textured and super shiny. So too much was indeed too much. I then decided I didn't want this to be all one open space. It was just a little too cluttered. I needed it to be a little bit more closed off, a little bit more compartmentalized, a little bit more realistic. So I build a wall down the center where the 2 buildings would have naturally been divided anyway, and then I kind of fight with whether or not I want 2 archways. I eventually lose the fight with myself and I keep 2. And then I'm just going through here and I'm pulling out shelves and pedestals and platforms, and I'll eventually start pulling out toys and just everything that I think that I'm going to use right after I fight with these curtains. I love these curtains. They're my favorite ones, but they don't snap to the windows the same way. And it drives me absolutely insane. So I fight with them, and of course I use those same curtains throughout the room, you know, for cohesion. Is that a word? It's gonna be a word. But I used them and I got so mad. By the time I placed the last one, I was just like fuming. But for this room, I didn't really have a plan. I had an idea of a central display, and the rest of it, I was just winging it because it's been a really long time since I've worked in retail. Like, I worked for a store called Elder Beerman, which is part of Bonton. If you're from, I think the Northeast is mainly where they were. I worked for one of their sister stores, and I started in high school, like my senior year, and I worked there for like 5 years total because I worked through some of college and then some out of college, my first go round. And I initially started in the women's section, but towards the end of my career there, I was in the men's and kids wear. So I would do anything from like measuring men for suit separates, which was never comfortable, to stocking the kids' floors. So I have not done that in a really long time. So I kind of forgot how things got laid out, how you might, you know, do a display and stuff like that so that it's eye-catching. Plus it's The Sims and these aren't boxes, so it's, you know, that much more difficult. But I was kind of trying to tap into that, and then I realized I could not remember what the color order was, and then at that point I was like, okay, all right, we're just gonna do it. There are no rules here. We're just gonna throw down what looks nice. I did try to have some organization, like there are like the robotic looking pieces are on that central shelf. All of the gnomes are going to be on the top shelf on the right eventually. I put all the transportation and animal type things together, kind of, that were small. I kept the plushie things together. I put the things that look like they could be for a dollhouse together. Like I tried to kind of organize it based on what type of toy it would be, but so many of them fit the same category that it was kind of hard to divide it out. But eventually I think I settled on something that from an organizational standpoint kind of makes sense. It makes sense to me, at least. Now, a lot of these toys are not going to be purchasable with the retail lot just because they're placed with move objects, but some of them are. So it's definitely not every single thing is going to be unusable, but you can easily pull things and move them, you know, snap them to the grid if you want to or need to. But if you like the look and you're okay with just a few things being you know, for sale. It's definitely not a negative thing in my head, but I made it, so of course I'm gonna say that. So as we're kind of finishing the shelves and things like that, I do leave this on camera. There are a few things that I cut out, like one of the displays that we're gonna do, I actually go back and change a few of the elements. And I add a few Christmassy decorations to the other half of the build as well that I don't leave on camera just because it felt a little too unnecessary, I guess is the word I'm going to use. So I do cut some of that stuff out, but I left like the bulk of things in. And I think I've said it before, I always leave like the initial first impression or first instinct of a build on here, and then any stylistic choices I make or design changes that I make later on down the road, I include in the screenshots, but not necessarily in the footage. Like, for example, if you've seen it, I did a Dirty Dancing community pool inspired build in Windenburg. I spent like 8 days. I'm not even joking. It was 8 days on that lot going back and forth, changing tiny, tiny, tiny little things, and just recording all of that and making someone sit through all of the little mundane things would be cruel. So I don't do every single thing, but I do go back and I always sit with the build for a little bit, and I do try to play test every single aspect. Some things I just don't get to. But yeah, I really do sit with them and I try to use them and make sure that they make sense, because sometimes you'll place an item or you'll think, yes, this is going to work for what I have, you know, in my head, what I've envisioned. And then when it comes to gameplay, it's just not, doesn't spark joy. It's got to go. And so I am kind of aware of that, or I try to be at least. But that display that we just did, as I swallow, I'm so sorry, but that display that we just did, I actually removed some of those items and I place stacks of books, like the ones that look like they're from a bookstore display, because I'm imagining that the different characters on that display pair with book series. That's at least, that was my thought, but I had that thought after the fact. So I do go in and change it. I did record it initially, but this video was like 25 minutes and it just didn't need to be. So I cut it out, but you'll see it in the pictures because I do take an up close picture of the different displays just so you can see them in detail. But yeah, that's just an example of some small changes that I've made. And then this, I do clip a little bit, but I hung the streamers. Well, those star things, they are ceiling decoration technically. The streamers are not, but I just raised them with the Alt key, or not the Alt key, the 9 key. And after this, I believe we place a few more decorative pieces, and then that's it for the build. So I'm actually going to leave you guys here. As always, feel free to leave a like or comment down below letting me know what you think. You can also subscribe if that's something that sparks joy for you. I post every single Wednesday. I will also be posting the screenshots on Instagram if you want to head over there and check those out. Of course, there is no pressure to do anything ever. I will see you on Wednesday with my next build. And in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely day and a lovely rest of your week. Bye, guys.
Christmas is just around the corner, coming up just around the bend. Holiday couldn't be here sooner. Holiday for family and friends. And we've got pine tree, pine cone, evergreen, mistletoe, candy cane, Santa Claus, a gingerbread woman and a gingerbread